One Punch Man 112 and 113, Unknown and True Form, were two good chapters of One Punch Man. I've read them both together, so I'm going to do them both in a single review, and I feel like it's alright in any case because they blend quite well as like back-to-back chapters for the reasons I'll go into in the review, and that is definitely the only reason. Chapter starts off with 112, just talking in general. We get to see that Sludge Jellyfish has survived the attack on Child Emperor, which I was surprised about because he burnt him alive and Sludge Jellyfish was like a nobody there, which kind of makes me think maybe he'll show up again in the future, which sounds ridiculous considering he's had all the liquid drained from his body by Evil Natural Water, but just because of what they did build up with him and Garo, with Garo obviously stopping him, then the attack back on Garo, I feel like if he does show up again in the future, it will just be a case of he might just barely be alive and he might be the first to see like a monsterized Garo, and Garo is just going to decimate him.Maybe that'll be like the true line, no, he's killed monsters in the past before, never mind. Any case, Child Emperor's attack obviously didn't work on Evil Natural Water. Sludge Jellyfish has his liquid drained from him. He drains the oil from his body more than anything, so he can counteract and like slow down the freezing process, gives him enough time to get out. Which is interesting that like, well, first of all, with Evil Natural Water, he's fairly interesting in the sense of how he's not necessarily like, he goes after negative emotions. He didn't go after Child Emperor, who was obviously the main threat in this situation. He went after Sludge Jellyfish, and obviously like Sludge Jellyfish was key to survive, but it would also explain why Ion and the rest of Atomic Samurai's disciples, Bushido and Komatachi, didn't die at the hands of Evil Natural Water, because he goes after negative emotions. He attacks those. So obviously that may be why Child Emperor's still alive in 123. Obviously he's been drowned, but like, you know, while he might not be a priority, if he dies, like, not dies, if he falls unconscious, Evil Natural Water might just leave him and then go, right, that's it. Because as long as there's not a presence that he can sense, because obviously we know he doesn't really have kind of like, he doesn't have a brain from what we can see, he's basically got eyes and that's it pretty much. Like, that could be just how he reacts to this. He can sense negative emotions, which could be interesting to see about how people fight him in the future, basically who might be a good match for him. I know obviously what happened in 123 with like we've seen all the matchups, pretty much everyone, but against someone who has like no kind of like, who's pretty calm is what I'm trying to say. So someone maybe like Flashy, who can't necessarily harm him, but he might not be able to harm him back unless he can sense like the intentions of him, or someone like Bang maybe, who seems very calm as well. Just ideas in my head basically of who might be ideal fights. I know obviously Bang's busy and Flashy's busy too, but just while I'm thinking of stuff. But interesting stuff to see at the very least, and obviously like the Mad Dr. Jellyfish, because it has a symbiotic relationship. And that shows, I guess, like one of the real powers of Evil Natural Water is its ability to absorb other liquids and take on their properties. Kind of similar, and you know what I was actually thinking would be the deadliest thing, and this isn't even a joke? If by somehow the corpse of Showerhead survived, because Showerhead can produce all these different liquids in his body, and obviously he got decimated by Rover, but if that was found by Evil Natural Water, as he said, he can pretty much produce any type of liquid, meaning that it would be an incredibly deadly version of Evil Natural Water, the being who has not only got like intense strength, like dragon level strength, cadre strength, but can also produce this. This is going to be a long review. Oh my god, man, have fun with this one. How late will this be? I'm calling 127 on this one. So, let's see. Speaking of the traits of the cadres, we then see Genos, who is going over all the data of the Monster Association cadres. And the ones that really interested me, obviously I've talked about Evil Natural Water, the other two were Homeless Emperor and Fura Ugly. Fura Ugly, of course, being mostly from what we see from 123, where he can like, apparently like take on your worst kind of fears and nightmares. I guess like he basically does what he can to break you down. Can he like transform is the main question I want to ask, because maybe they're just in a room full of mirrors, which it might be, but just because there's some images and maybe it's just my mask's head playing on it, but maybe he can transform to some degree. Homeless Emperor is actually the other one too, who I thought was in like, because I thought that was the most one-sided fight out of all of them there, because Zombie Man just couldn't hurt Homeless Emperor, but now we do get the real, now we got the fact of Homeless Emperor is just a regular human apart from his abilities, and while his abilities are great, it is basically, if they can land the hit on him, then by all means they can take down Homeless Emperor, because he has the body of a normal human, which means Zombie Man, to me now, has a fighting chance. He's just got to be smart about how he gets that hit in, and I know obviously from what we see in the next chapter, where obviously it's just his corpse and there's a massive hole in him, not looking great for Zombie Man, but it's not an impossible fight like I thought it was before. And obviously, you know, so his defense, so like, obviously Homeless Emperor's defense is like a 1, and like all his other stats are 90. He's invested it to everything else at the sacrifice of this one stat, but that one stat will be his downfall. All it takes is someone to show up and basically get past the energy balls. We don't know obviously the extent of his control of the energy balls, but that's going to be the best shot. Also, Rover. Rover, apparently, he just submits to people who are weaker than him, which is probably why he submitted to Orochi, and that's how he joined the Monster Association. So the question is, like, where do his loyalties lie now? Because Goro's tried to contact him, but Saitama has beaten him, and he's decided not to fight him, so I just think Rover's going to be a wild card at this point because Saitama's not there. Basically, he doesn't have like an authority figure, and he's like, I don't know who to follow because the last one just died. Now, the other one, I don't know what's going on with him, so maybe Rover will just be a wild card and he could just go to any fight. And I mean, like, it's something I've said for a while because Rover has been let loose. He could be, like, you know, he could fight heroes, he could fight monsters. It could be super interesting. Now, I know who he's fighting now, but if they, depending on how that fight goes down, because I haven't read 1, 2, 4 yet, it could be super, like, if they are like, we have to run away, or we beat him for now, and then Rover gets back up in a bit, and just starts fighting someone else. I don't know, all ideas, but we'll get onto that. But yeah, I think that's interesting stuff, pretty much. Meanwhile, Saitama and Flashy are having their little adventures, and this is actually something I'm really invested in, not just because I love Saitama and Flashy as a duo, but also, it's mostly seeing how they're going to keep Saitama out the story as much as they can, so he's away from the executives, and he's away from Garo, so that eventually he can have this big fight at the end of the Monster Association with Garo. And I think I just want to see what's going on. Like, obviously, they're doing different things. So, obviously, he's looking around for Orochi, and him and Flashy are great together because they admitted, like, Saitama's had enough of being lost from following Flashy around, which I thought was going to keep him busy for a while, but they're trying to advance it, and it was very funny with that monster on the toilet, where Saitama's like, boom, 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 boom. He's like, you're going to take us to the monster after you're done having a poo, though. It's, I did enjoy that, and then of course the real threat isn't, you know, they're not scared of the man who just busts through the wall, the monster is scared of the S-Class hero behind them, as we learn the history of the S-Class heroes, which was very interesting. It was a bit of a, like, I like when they put it there, but I also think it might have been better a bit somewhere else, because for people who've been reading One Punch Man who read it originally, in terms, when I say originally, I mean when the chapter first came out, you've got a couple weeks to think about it, you know, like, these feats of the S-Class explain why they came in. These are, like, as they say, the S-Class, these are the best of the best. Like, it's not a rank you can get into through normal means. No one can just go to A-Class rank 1 and go to S-Class, as far as I can tell, which is probably why my mask is that barrier there too, but obviously for other reasons, because my mask is a bit of a poo-head. But also, the fact is, you basically have to prove yourself by being able to beat a demon one-on-one. That is the definition of an S-Class hero, is the people who are, like, beyond strength, and they do great symbolism through this. There's a lot of great moments in, like, explaining this too. We learn, obviously we know about all the different things of what makes a hero. It's stuff kind of just getting confirmed, you know, obviously combat strength is one, but also, you know, how, like, how they work with the association, their contribution to society and popularity, which is a bit of an annoying one, because, like, obviously just people aren't being treated right, and obviously we know this is with Saitama too, because obviously he's fairly low in the Hero Association rankings, but because he's probably not that popular, but at the same time, I guess his contributions are keeping him up there. Any case, we then get to see some rankings of people too, and we learned that it was a couple of years ago when they first had their first demon, like, rankings were up and down, but these heroes showed up out of nowhere and just wrecked them, which is where we see the first few things, and it's crazy to see the S-Class's original ranks, like, mostly, like, how low some of them were, because, it makes sense, but, like, for example, Watchdog Man sticks to Q City, so maybe he just, like, maybe that's what was keeping him so low at C-Class rank 361. Also great to see Watchdog Man tear the head off that monster. That was very cool. See, we just see casually Darkshine taking 15 times gravity, and he's at the lowest rank of C-Class, and there was no one at this point was like, maybe we should have an S-Class rank. It took a while for them to get there, but, like, maybe because he wasn't very popular, because he just kept flexing and showing off his muscles and people found him annoying, but it's also a contribution to society, because we've seen in the past that S-Class heroes are quite, they're quite selfish. Like, I remember when the Meteor showed up, it was a Dragon level threat, only Bang showed up, Bang and Geno showed up, were the only two. Apart from that, no one else, like, bothered. Metal Knight actually did, but Metal Knight for selfish reasons too. They're all quite selfish in their own regards, and I feel like that's like a lot of monsters, a lot of heroes in any case. But still, we then get to see some good moments, like, obviously this breakdown of, like, you know, these are the best of the best, and they do a good job of hyping up the S-Class too, and I say this probably works well for, like, it'll work well for anyone else who reads it now, because I think as as a joint, as reading these back to back, it's really good to go like, look how amazing the S-classes are. However, they're not the real, they're nothing really compared to the dragons, as we see in 1, 2, 3, and they do a good job of building it up, obviously comparing them to an army. They are one-person armies. That's what the S-classes are. And, however, these are different monsters that they are used to, and they build up the dragons. Of course, as Geno says, like, the only people who could really take on a dragon, as far as he is aware, is Tatsumaki and King. And obviously we know this isn't true, but his data is incorrect, because obviously we've seen Flashy take on 2 dragons, Child Emperor go all out, took down a dragon, but the other S-class heroes aren't doing so well, and that's what made this next chapter so good, is we get the hype up chapter of Pig God. Like, it starts off talking about Pig God because every other hero got their moment to shine, we saw something in action, like where it was Atomic Samurai dicing up opponents before we saw it. Obviously Flashy taking on 2 dragons, Child and Phoenix, Puri and Bakuma, and obviously Darkshine with Bug God and Goro, Tatsumaki of course with Goro, but in any case, Pig God was the only one that didn't, so that's why we got that explanation. It was super interesting on the stuff we saw about him, but it was also a great kind of mislead to seeing Pig God down in the fight. You know, this is the S-class hero Pig God as he's in the jaws of Gums. I love that, it was so good. The next few pages, Atomic Samurai, Black Spermatozoon, I almost said his name wrong, silly me. Black Spermatozoon, Child Emperor, Evil Natural Water, Zombie Man and Homeless Emperor, all of them are down. They're not out, but they're down. And this is an important thing, and I do like this as the chapter, because it's not saying these fights are so one-sided like others are, because as they made clear, these people are special. They're not like the others, but they make, obviously My Mask and Fury are ugly, of course, but I think this is going to be good because it's this wake-up call. They've gone maybe, you know, in a time of peace for them, they haven't had like a threat in a long time that they've been concerned about, you know. These aren't opponents that, like, these aren't ordinary opponents. Dragon level threats aren't a common occurrence in the world of One Punch Man. Well, at least that the S-class heroes deal with, because normally Saitama ends up dealing with them. So it's this fear, this reawakening in them. Like, I like that Pig God's just not down. He gets back into his senses, and he gets like, and he starts clawing and starting to beat his way out of Gums, you know. They're all getting back up for their next fight. Like, this fear is what they need for their next awakening, their next stage in their evolution, and I really like that. It's going to be very cool to see this all in action. I do feel bad for Atomic Samurai, only to a degree though, because while I do not hate Atomic Samurai for the reasons I feel like the community do not like him, which is pretty much just because you either like Atomic or you like Flashy, and that's that. I think this is his karma because of how he treated Saitama, which is a moment I completely forgot about when they first met. Saitama was like, "Nice to meet you," and Atomic Samurai was like, "Talk to me when you're S-class," and walked off. This is karma. This is some real karma right here. That he is also looking down on a monster and he is getting beaten up by them. But I hope Atomic will get back up. I don't think he can take these. I think it's pretty much what I've been saying for a little bit, where the heroes can't take these on themselves. They're not opponents they can take on one-on-one. Like, they need to at least some teamwork or some extra, they need extra help, just a little bit of backup that they need, because 2-on-1 is a very different fight to 1-on-1, and it may change the tides. And I think it is obviously like this whole thing of like rankings and association, and the way the hero association works is, you know, it's basically eat or be eaten. And whilst, you know, you can't necessarily rely on other people, teaming up with people every now and again isn't bad. We've seen like heroes do better from there, and if the S-class hero can set the example, then, you know, it's not as much about rankings and popularity and all this, and there isn't so much of a gap making like the S-class heroes feel amazing and the A-class heroes, and so on and so forth between each rankings. This could be a good step in the right direction if they learn to work together. Probably not though, because, well, they might, we'll see. I didn't even talk about the beautiful art of 122 with the fist, and I love that fist more than anything, because that fist obviously is a great design as they're explaining the S-class heroes, you know, that these are, you know, that these are like the best of the best. With the 2 page, obviously the super detailed, great looking fist, and the next page of it just like all the detail gone, being torn in half, you know. That is the difference between the S-class heroes and the regulars. Like, that fist, you know, represents hard work, determination that a lot of heroes can put into it. But the S-class heroes, the way that fist is torn is not a natural way. It's insane. It's like it says, the S-class heroes are insane. The S-class heroes are broken. That fist is torn like that. That is not an easy way to tear a fist apart, and even all the detail is just sapped from it, because they make the great look average in comparison. That's who the S-class heroes are, and I love that bit of art because of it. But the best thing about this is you've got all the S-class heroes down, defeated, not looking their best. Then there is one woman who stands at the pinnacle, stands above them, as it is a normal day for her. Tatsumaki being incredible at the top of the tower of tyrannical, terrifying tarantulas. Ooh. Proving herself. That is, apart from Saitama, the strongest human out there. Without a doubt, just like bam, bam, bam. Nothing is a problem for her. Dragons, Dragon who? Dragon Yu Hakusho. We then get, obviously, you know, we learn obviously Girogiro's form wasn't in there, and we finally get to see Girogiro's true form. And what's so good about this is, well, the design's amazing. It's a great design. Murata's obviously very good at drawing characters, but there aren't that many female characters in One Punch Man, so it is always a pleasure when there is a new one. And she has a great design for me personally, especially with female characters. If they got cool hair, I'm immediately like, yeah, I like that design. She's got cool hair. Yeah, I like that design. You know, she's obviously chilling downstairs, like thinking she's safe from everything. She also makes a little comment, of course, that about Black Spermatozoon and Homeless Emperor, that if those two team up, they can take on anyone. Which I imagine is in a post-Orochi world, because obviously Orochi is no longer here, so they are maybe, is that their way of saying that, apart from, you know, they are maybe the two strongest members of the Monster Association now that Orochi isn't here. So as we carry on, well, obviously, what is so good about this is she's very cocky and she's very calm. You know, she's like, I've still got everything under control, my body's been beaten, but whatever, I'll just sit here and ride it all out, drinking my wine, reading a nice little book. Tatsumaki is like, she's keeping on Tatsumaki, just like, she feels little and she's like, oh, found you, and then just the moments of like her going like, she can't be serious, like, because she's like, all Tatsumaki does is she says that, but like, she just reads the Mitsuketa. And it's just so, it's so good because it's that moment like, she hasn't found me, she can't find me. She hasn't found me, right? She hasn't found me. Come out, boom with the finger guns, just immediately stopping her in her tracks. Girogiro is not getting out of this alive. She is, well no, she might get out of this alive because she's just human, but so she's more likely to get out of this alive, but she's in trouble. And like, one of my favourite things that I didn't realise until reading later, because I'm a stupid man, is, you know, they say 1,500 metres is how far the distance is between. I'm like, oh, that's not too bad, until I was like, wait a minute, that's 1.5 kilometres, and I was like, oh my god, which is really crazy to think of the extent of Tatsumaki's power, that even that far away, her force, like the power she has is that strong. She can't see her opponent, she can only sense her, boom, like keeps her in a hold. And apparently this is a woman who is around the dragon level threat. So maybe this is well, like, this is cool. Tatsumaki's very cool. I do like her. She can be annoying, don't get me wrong, when she's all like, I'll do this, but to be fair, at the same time, there's a lot of times where she's like, I'll do it, and she gets it done. There hasn't been really, I say this because there hasn't been a time where she hasn't got it done, because it's just very cool. She's a good one. Meanwhile, we also then cut over, because she's like, I need some help, Rover, come and save me. We then see Rover is now fighting Fubuki Bang Bomb, and Fubuki is blocking a Rover Blast, which is incredible. And I think what Murata has done for this to make it more believable is quite good, because obviously we know that Fubuki's got hidden potential, because obviously, first of all, she's Tatsumaki's younger sister. We've seen the extent of Tatsumaki's abilities, so the fact is her sister might be able to do some of that stuff too. We also see, obviously, that of course, she's had hidden power. She's obviously not going all out, like, she's stronger than she appears, because she isn't just B-class rank 1, she is, like, an A-class rank fighter. However, she is still concerned, because she's like, I can't beat these guys. She's got self-restrictions on herself, mostly because of her history with Tatsumaki. We've seen Tatsumaki has, like, kind of made her feel inferior in her life, and she's had to rely on other people when she needs to rely on herself a bit more, which is why she's so insecure about fighting, going up against the top rankings of A-class, especially because the A-class rank 1 is a my mask. But like I said, we've seen these moments where, like, she has no one on her side when she fought against Do-S or Super S, and she managed to hold her own. She stopped everyone, she gave Do-S the beatdown, and it was good. So I think it's fully believable that she could do this, also because of Gispa. This might be why Gispa was introduced to us, like, and did that massive attack, is to make what Fubuki's doing now more believable and recognisable. I haven't really seen, like, many complaints about what she's doing. I think Gispa's part of that, because Gispa launched, like a high, like a Tatsumaki level attack, and he's a C-class. So the fact that, like, obviously he linked to his emotional state, like, ever since witnessing her, like, he's been, like, his mind's been going about it, and obviously we've also won other series, Mob Psycho, emotions are, like, a big link to Mob's powers. Maybe it's, like, a leaning towards that as well. Obviously, like, a mental state is a big reflection of psychic powers, and maybe because Tatsumaki has so much confidence in herself, like, she's never, like, I can't do this, I'm struggling, oh no, I need some help. She's always very, like, I got this, I can do anything. Maybe that's also, like, a reason for why she, in particular, is so powerful. Self-confidence does go a long way, so maybe as Fubuki develops herself more, and she goes on to be like, you know what, I've got this, I don't need help, help's appreciated, but I got it. If not, maybe if that's kind of the right attitude she can have, really, is being like, help's appreciated, but if not, I've got this. And that could be like her evolution to maybe beat her sister one day. I see that as unlikely because of how powerful Tatsumaki is, but at least so she's not, like, feeling inferior to her sister anymore, and she's confident in who she is as a person that way too. Bang and Bomb are there, and they're very chill with what's just happened. A giant dog has just blasted them with a fireball, and they're just, and Fubuki's like, oh my god, you'd be gone if it wasn't for me, and Bang's just like, whatever. So, obviously they've been around for a long time, so maybe they've seen similar threats, and obviously, as we know, the other S-Class heroes have been pretty much beaten by the cadres, but they have experience in fighting the cadres. They fought against Elder Centipede, and of course, Bang and Bomb have been around for a long time. They fought probably against a lot of powerful opponents, so maybe this kind of threat isn't facing them as much because they're older, they're experienced. The more they're not being shaped, that experience could hopefully come to help in a battle. I don't know what the next chapter is going to be like. I've seen the title's called New Fubuki Group, so I imagine it's going to be about Bang and Bomb and Fubuki having a little tussle with Rover. But overall, I did really enjoy these two chapters. I loved the build-up of the S-Class heroes to the letdown of the S-Class heroes, but I love that the fact they're going to get back up. I like Saitama and Flashy, I like Fubuki, I love Tatsumaki, and Gyoro looks wonderful. And wow, that was... why was there a little pause there, Matt? Okay, cool. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, thank you for waiting and hopefully watching. If you didn't, I understand, but you're not watching this, are you, if you didn't watch it? It's been a long day. It's been a long period of time. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more, comment what your thoughts were on the chapter. Please no spoilers for the future stuff, because I'm going to make this decree now. If this one isn't out, then I haven't read anything past this. So, yes. So, 29, this would be the last review 2019. Before I start on the 2020 chapters, before I start on actually like Fubuki's end of 2019. So, in any case, I'm not going to read any more until I've got this one edited. So, if you're watching this, I haven't read any more One Punch Man, and the only way to know that is probably because I'll have to do a catch-up stream because I'm always behind now, and the stream will be on my channel at some point. Okay, thank you, bye!